Have you ever thought, man, I wish the Geometry Dash editor had more features? Me too. But that's not a problem anymore because you can add more features through modding. Basically adding extensions that modify the game. And there are a ton of different mods out there that can help you have a smoother and more customized experience with the editor. And since I've been asked many times about what mods I use or recommend for building, I'm going to cover all of them in this video. That's over 20 mods. From simple mods that just customize the editor to actually insane custom features that make the building process much easier and faster. I'm also going to cover pretty well-known mods as well as other mods that have very few downloads. Also keep in mind these are all Geode mods, so you'll need to have Geode installed to get them. Alright, so I think you might relate to this. You know when you're looking for a song for a level and you want to start at a specific part and you have to kind of guess where that is by changing the start offset a bunch of times? That's not an issue anymore because with Matt's advanced song preview, you can play your downloaded songs and actually see the waveforms and go to any part of the song you like so you can have a listen, and you can even select the start offset from the mod screen, which is just really useful when you're looking for a specific part of a song to put in your level. And since we're talking about song selection, it can be pretty hard to find a song in the first place. But Alphalenius's improved song browser adds better search and a bunch of different filter options to help with that. I've been using this mod for a while and I think it's pretty great. Now, I don't know about you, but making art in Geode, especially curves or custom fonts, has always been really rough to me. Since the editor isn't really intended for drawing, it can be pretty difficult to make art or even create your own fonts. But this mod makes that process extremely simple. I'm talking about Ausk's Allium drawing tool. It allows you to create lines, curves, freeform, polygons, and other stuff, and you can customize pretty much every setting. But to me, the most game-changing feature in this mod is actually the ability to add a custom font file by clicking this button here, and you can simply add text in any font you want to your level. By the way, if you're going to do this, make sure you're using fonts that are free to use, such as the ones in Google Fonts. Although this is a drawing mod, I actually mainly use it to actually create lines around certain groups of triggers to keep my editor nice and organized. Also, if you're going to use this mod for artwork, make sure it's original art, and also be wary of optimization because complex drawings or fonts can take a lot of objects. You can also customize how detailed the drawings and fonts are through the mod settings, and that can help with optimization. Speaking of making art, maybe the most important part of making a level look good is picking the right colors. And while the color picker in Geode isn't bad, there are options that are more flexible, and with Flowvix's better picker, you can drastically improve your color selection by using this square alternative, which gives you a lot more control over the hue, saturation, and brightness, making getting the right colors a lot easier. There's also Zoepsilone's better color picker if you prefer a triangle alternative. I personally used this one for the longest time, but while making this video I came across Flowvix's mod, which I just prefer a bit. If you made levels before 2.2, you probably remember that you could freely zoom out the camera during the playtest or have the camera not follow the player at all. But the 2.2 camera system made so that wasn't possible anymore, which isn't too bad, but it can be pretty annoying if you're trying to look at a specific detail or part of the level and the camera just locks to whatever setting you're doing with the camera triggers. But RatZoom's improved playtest actually fixes that issue and allows you to completely customize your camera during playtesting. You can choose to have it locked to a certain position or scale or rotation, and this helps out a ton when making levels, especially platformers, which is why this already is one of my favorite mods, because even though I actually found it while working on this video, I've already used it a lot and I think it's really helpful. Now this one you very likely have heard of, after all it's the most downloaded editor mod, and you guessed it, it's HJFOD's Better Edit. Most of you know about it, but it's still really worth mentioning here because it's simply the best mod you can download to improve your editor experience. There are so many features that I definitely wouldn't be able to include all of them in just one video, but here are a few examples. Better Edit changes how colors are organized, which is very good but also entirely optional if you don't like it. It makes the font menu much easier to use, and it adds the View tab to the editor, which allows you to quickly toggle editor visuals on and off, such as the ground, particle icons, or object rotations, shaders, duration and effect lines for triggers, the dash orb line, hitboxes, BPM lines, and you're even able to hide objects that you've set to high detail as if you were playing the level in LDM. Or low detail mode. If that's not insanely useful, I don't know what is. You can set up an auto save time interval to make sure your level is always backed up even if you forget to save. You can scale the editor's UI if you want it a bit bigger or smaller. With that said, although Better Edit is quite an obvious pick, it's still really worth mentioning here because it's pretty insane and it has many more features that I haven't mentioned at all here. For absolutely free, and you can also get access to extra features by supporting the developer through Ko-fi. And here I want to talk about my favorite feature out of all of them, maybe my favorite in any mod ever, and that is the trigger indicator lines. This creates a line when you click a trigger, and it connects that trigger to all of the objects that are affected by it and vice versa. This feature is absolutely insane if you're doing a platformer level or any level with a lot of triggers. I've been working on my platformer for a little under 2 years now, and I can say that when I found out about this feature, my entire building process changed drastically, and I stopped struggling when trying to find triggers in the editor. And despite being supporter only, meaning it's not a free feature, it is absolutely worth it, and you also get to support the developer in the process. This is not sponsored, it's just really, really sick. I know this is all a lot, but I recommend you checking this mod for yourself, because there's just a lot more than I haven't mentioned. Also, a little plus, if you're on PC, you can download the custom keybinds mod to be able to fully customize your keybinds to pretty much anything in the editor. Okay, hear me out. Do you know the feeling when you're building a house in Minecraft and it's just you and the sounds and some chill music? Well, the two next mods make the building experience in GD just like that. The first one is Effortless's editor sounds. It does just what the name says and adds sounds to the editor. That's so surprising, wow. But it's just so satisfying to build with it. I personally really enjoyed the response when you click a one and a sound actually plays, which for one confirms you actually did something, and also just sounds nice. It really gives that Stardew Valley Minecraft building vibe, which I just love, and I've been using this mod ever since I first heard of it. Oh, and you can also customize the sounds to whatever you want in the mods files. The second audio related mod is Undefined Zero's editor music. Again, it does exactly what the name suggests and adds music to the editor. These mods names are really good, by the way. All you need to do is add your music files into the mods folder, which you can access by clicking this button here, and you now automatically have music playing within the editor without having anything else open. There's a custom music player, and you can control the volume. You can skip or go back 10 seconds, easily switch what song is playing, and it even notifies you when it changes. And probably my personal favorite thing in this mod is actually a low pass filter that makes so the music goes just a bit quieter and muffled whenever you open a menu in the editor. Here, take a listen. It's just really sick, and having music on can really boost your creativity. And speaking of creativity, Creative Mode, another mod by Alphalanius, allows you to customize the editor's build tab with your own colors and opacity. It adds tooltips when you hover over objects, and it adds a search button that allows you to look for objects by name and just gives you a nice different perspective on the objects overall. Alright, so while working on this video, I actually came across this mod on Geode that just released last month, and it's so insane. I instantly installed it when I saw it because it's a feature I've been wanting for a very long time, and it has only under 10k downloads, so I can't just leave it out of this list. I'm talking about Geode's editor tracker. This mod is insane. You might have heard of the build time tracking feature in Seavolton's Better Info, which allows you to see how much time you spend in the editor on a certain level. And if I recall correctly, it uses the game's own time tracking system, which is a bit buggy. Like sometimes it'll double or even triple the amount of hours actually spent in a level, so it wasn't really reliable for time tracking in the editor. Ever since I started my first platformer project almost 2 years ago, I never really had an accurate way of measuring how much time I spent on it other than Better Info. But then I came across Editor Tracker while making this video. This mod actually counts the time you spend in the editor per level, and it has a sick dashboard in the main menu. And going there, you can see not only your total time in a level, but actually how much time you've spent weekly and daily. It's actually so cool, dude. It does have an optional online dashboard thing, which uses some third-party software, but I personally don't use that because the in-game dashboard is already exactly what I needed. I can't stress enough how needed this mod was. This next mod is pretty simple, but it's also kind of a game changer. You know how in the editor's build tab, there are some objects that just don't really work? Some are out of their buttons boundaries, some are not centered, and some are straight up invisible because of that. Thankfully, Razum made the object menu fixes and improvements mod, which fixes exactly that and also makes the animated objects a bit easier to see. According to the description of this mod, it fixes more than 300 objects, so huge shout out to Razum. Now, if you already created levels before 2.2, you know just how much the warp feature changed how we build. It allows for insanely flexible controls over the scaling of an object, and learning how to use it is something that levels up your creating game. However, it's still a limited feature and lacks a few simple things such as being able to snap the anchor point to the corners, and Razzoom's improved transform controls does exactly that and more. This is one of the mods I use the most by far, and it's insanely useful. There's a lot more stuff that I didn't cover here, so I'd recommend getting it to test all of the features yourself. Speaking of feature improvements, there's 3 other mods by Alphalanius that do just that. This is probably the 30th time I mentioned Alphalanius, but bro is just too good at coding, I guess. The first one is improve editor slider, which improves the editor slider by making it actually match the levels length, just like it did before 2.2. Improved link controls is another insanely useful mod, which allows you to toggle link controls on and off by just clicking one button, which allows you to edit any linked objects without actually unlinking them. You can already do this in the editor's menu, but this shortcut just makes it much easier. And talking about making things easier, improved group view allows more than 20 groups to show in the edit group menu, which is like essential, especially if you're working on a platformer level. I don't know why this isn't a vanilla thing. Just like quick extras by Alphalanius, which adds a button to quickly access the edit extra menu. Now this next mod is huge, bro. It has so many useful features you might as well call it Better Edit 2.0. You know how you can't edit multiple different triggers at once? Well, you can do that and much more with Ninkaz's editor utils. When you're changing the rotation speed of a saw blade, you can actually see the saw blade. You can temporarily hide a trigger's UI holding the shift key or when moving a slider. You can edit the HSV of multiple objects with mixed values. This mod also adds an advanced select filter, which allows you to filter objects not only by group and color, but also scale, HSV, Z order, and Z layer. It's insane. For instance, if you want to select every object that has color channel 3 on the B4 layer and Z order 9, you can do that. It's so insanely customizable. This mod is just insane. You can just go to the delete tab for that, by the way. There's more features I haven't mentioned here, but this one is just so worth downloading and checking it out for yourself. Since I'm talking about game-changing features, I need to mention named editor groups by Spaghetti Dev. It actually allows to add name tags to groups. Name tags to groups. No more spending 34 minutes trying to figure out what group you used for the parallax effect in your level. I am not speaking from experience, by the way. And while we're at naming stuff, might as well add names to the editor layers with Razzoom's named editor layers mod. You can not only add names, but actually go through a list of all the layers and find whatever you're looking for much more easily. Just like how with quick volume controls, you can easily balance the game's music and sound effect volume while being in the editor if you're on PC. Now, I think you might relate to this. You just made something cool in the editor and you want to show it to someone, but it's always a bit weird because in the editor, the UI or the grid or anything else gets in the way. And in normal mode, you have stuff like the pause menu or the practice buttons. Well, Radix's print screen mod allows you to take screenshots with just a single button, and you can fully customize what to show and what to hide. And it also automatically puts your screenshot into your clipboard, so you can just paste it anywhere right away. So you'll know when you gotta move an object really far away, or undo a bunch of stuff you just did, or you just need to do something many times in a row. Repeating editor buttons by Alphalanius allows you to just hold down on certain editor buttons to repeat their action, like moving stuff around or navigating through layers. Another mod that I recently got recommended was Undefined Zero's Select Random, which does just that. It allows you to select a certain percentage of objects from a selection, which allows you to do stuff such as adding variation to a certain texture, maybe it's a tree or grass, or you just need to do an effect or a background that has many randomized layers for depth. You can use this mod to do that instantly without having to manually select different objects over and over. Now, one of the most scary things that can happen when you're building is selecting a bunch of objects and accidentally pressing paste state or paste color, which irreversibly changes the color, layers, and groups of the objects, which can entirely mess up your level. And if that happens, all you can do is hope you saved your level recently or right before doing that, and then just exit the editor without saving. And if you haven't saved recently, you will just lose the last 30 minutes of work. That's been a problem to many creators, including myself. But this mod right here comes to save the day. That paste button by Alphalanius, somehow another Alphalanius mod made into this list. Honestly, props to them for making all these really useful mods and keeping them free for anyone. Anyway, this mod warns you if you press paste state or paste color with multiple objects selected, which prevents accidentally ruining your level or potentially losing hours of work. But worse than losing progress is losing the entire level, hence why I also use VODs trash can mod, which sends deleted levels to a trash bin rather than deleting them forever. So if you accidentally delete a level, no problem, you can just recover it from the trash can. And if you want to permanently delete a level, you can just go to the bin and then delete it from there. Also, if you know any other good editor mods that I didn't mention here, please let me know in the comments. It can help out other people and it's going to help me out a ton as well. Whew, that was a long list, bro. I also just wanted to say a quick thank you to all of the channel members for all the support. I genuinely appreciate it. It helps me out a ton, more than you would think. Now that you know the best mods to improve your building experience, check out these 7 pro tips to make levels faster and potentially save hours. Thanks for watching. Sorry for 10 months without any videos. Bye. Subscribe and like the video.